Here comes summer. Welcome to a special episode of Total Hollywood with Sandro Monetti and Amy Rapia.
In this episode, we'll preview all of the box office blockbusters heading our way in the summer months. I'm very excited. How are you feeling about this, Sandro?
It's Indiana Jones and everything else. You know, to me, there's just one big movie that I'm looking forward to, and I hope it doesn't let us down. Anything else is a bonus.
Oh, I think there's so many good things coming up. I mean, I'm especially excited for two, I'd say girl power movies. I don't know if everyone would agree, but starting with The Little Mermaid, which is a classic from my childhood, from many people's childhoods, headed up by some strong women. And then, of course, later on, we've got Greta Gerwig's Barbie, which I am incredibly excited for. Everything else is a bonus, I guess. But just starting with those, I'm pumped.
Well, I've got another girl power movie for you, Joyride, which I think could be one of the hits of the summer, but we'll get to that later. So, dear listener, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the big releases coming our way this summer, prefacing them with their release dates. Now, of course, these release dates are subject to change, you know, as the studios jockey for position, but basically, every weekend between May and August is already scoped out with at least one major film opening in summer box office season, the time when the studios make most of their money and roll out the blockbusters. And of course, it all got started with Fast X on May the 19th. Oh, Amy, did you have your engines revved up for this one?
I turned my car off. I'm in park, I'm sat there, I have no intention of moving. Fast and the Furious has absolutely never done it for me, and I don't see why that would change now. I know that over the past few years, the past few releases, they've got a bit more self-aware, a bit more goofy. I've seen clips that have entertained me, but I don't think I'll ever be able to sit through a whole Fast and Furious movie without looking at my watch maybe just a couple times.
These films are global sensations, and the main reason is that cars are the universal language. Because, yes, let's not think... I mean, you know, we all see the movies in English, but these do so well in foreign territories because you certainly don't need to speak English to follow the story, you know, or even the scripts, you know, which are pretty simplistic, to be honest. They're just a collection of action set pieces, you know, and it also has a very diverse cast as well. So it's really, you know, kind of a fast factory at the moment, you know, churning these things out. I think this is number 10. Yes. And there's maybe one more after this, but we shall see. But certainly, you know, in terms of box office, the Fast franchise, you know, has usually delivered, and you know, certainly cinema owners will be hoping it accelerates their profits and gets off to a racing start this summer. But then, just 1 week later, comes The Little Mermaid live action version, May 26. Discuss.
I personally am really excited for it, but I've been really upset, I must say, by a lot of the controversy that I've been seeing surrounding it in the months leading up to just now. There is so much negativity and bad will towards this movie for the heinous crime of casting a black woman in the lead role. I know that people will always get upset about this, but I'll never wrap my head around it. First of all, and in fact, the only thing you need to dispute this stupid argument is it's a fictional character. They can look however you want them to, and yet there's fully grown adults out there saying, well, I won't be taking my child to see The Little Mermaid because they've decided to make it woke. Oh, come off it.
Have they ever seen a mermaid?
Exactly. For all we know, they could be the splitting image. Exactly. They could all look exactly like the actress they've cast. But no, I think it's ridiculous. And I do worry about the kind of pushback that it's going to get on release if it's been this heinous already in just the lead up. But I think that Halle Bailey is fantastic casting. I think she's beautiful. I think she's charming. I think she looks fantastic in the role. And from the little previews and clips I've seen so far, I think it looks like a really nice rendition of what was probably one of my favourite childhood Disney movies.
Well, I just question the morals of the character, because the trouble I had with the original Little Mermaid, the animated version, is that, you know, as soon as she sees a human, she gets one glimpse of Prince whatever he's called, and then suddenly she's ready to give up her lovely life below the sea and just follow a man. What does that say about girl power? And at least I hope that this version will have a better sort of message about maybe sort of following your heart and following your head as well.
I think you might have just outed one of the flaws in my feminism. I think maybe I now have to put my women's rights flag down because I've just failed massively. But I'm going to skirt around it and say that actually it's the fascination with humans in general. It's the fascination with the unknown that I'm sure we all have. If tomorrow I headed out down by the coast and I peeked in there and I saw a mermaid, I'd be hopping straight in. It's clearly just the reverse of that. She's fascinated with humans. She wants to see their world. I want to see theirs. I sympathise with her.
It reminds me of the joke about the frog who goes up to the princess and says to her, "If you kiss me, I'll turn into a handsome prince." And the princess replies, "No way! I'll make much more money with a talking frog than I will with a handsome prince. Come with me." So I'm absolutely diving in after a mermaid as well. But, maybe we'll put these thoughts aside when we see the movie. I'm slightly worried by the choice of Rob Marshall to direct it because he did the reboot of Mary Poppins, and I thought that missed as well. But he's got another go here with Little Mermaid, so let's see if we can pull it off. Like everything, we'll just wait and see, but clearly some things to be worked on with that plot.
Oh, definitely. But I'm just hoping that the cast will pick it back up. I'm very excited to see Melissa McCarthy also playing Ursula. I think that was a really good casting. And she seems really excited to play the role as well. She's been speaking about how she especially has been taking inspiration from drag performers, which is something that seems, once again, so controversial to say these days because of the moral panic that everyone's manufacturing. But it's true that Ursula, the original design, was inspired by Divine, a drag queen. And rightfully, Melissa McCarthy is trying to follow in these footsteps. And I hope she delivers a fantastic performance accordingly.
Will there be much controversy and debate around Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the animated sequel that is coming on June 2nd? Are your Spidey senses tingling for this one?
Well, it's got a lot to live up to, hasn't it? If you think back to the reception of its predecessor, which was just so stunningly fantastic at all times. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about that film. There's a lot of pressure on this now to live up or even outperform that. But my concern is, are we bored of the multiverse yet? Ever since its release of Into the Spider-Verse, everyone seemed to get on the multiversal hype. Marvel started pumping out as many things as they could that would even be slightly related to the word
Doctor
multiverse.
Strange! Yes.
Oh, don't get me started on Doctor Strange. But I worry, are we all a bit bored of it? I know I'm a little bit bored of it because we've gotten to a point where there's very little new being done with it. When we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, that was refreshing because it took a concept that we'd seen been done the same a million times and actually interpreted a little bit differently now. And I wonder how different they're going to manage to do this, or if they're just going to rely on the same things we're all used to and bored of.
Well, Lord and Miller are the filmmakers, a fantastic team. The expectations were so low for this one when it came out. It won the Oscar for Best Animated Film, and I think they win the benefit of the doubt. So they're certainly trying to take the Spider-Man franchise in new directions, or maybe they're just milking the cash cow and squeezing it for the last drop of milk. We will find out. This is what I love about the summer box office, because it's instant success or you're disappeared, because suddenly so many movies are competing for those same screens. I mean, if Little Mermaid bombs, there'll be more screens for Spider-Man. Will Fast X still be playing? And so, you have to hit these right out of the gate. And there, in the June 9th time slot, is a franchise which, to me, it's the mystery of the ages, how it keeps going, and people keep paying for it. I'm talking about Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Discuss.
How is it still going? I'm so with you on that. I have not been invested in anything to do with the Transformers since maybe the first one, and the only really memorable bit I have from watching any of the early movies is Megan Fox looking cool on a motorcycle. They left so little impact on me that I just couldn't care less, and I don't know how they're still going.
Michael Bay did a fantastic movie last year, Ambulance. It was, to me, the best action thriller of the year. Nobody went to see it, so he's fallen back on Transformers again and brought them back. But yeah, I mean, my goodness, I mean, we clearly don't see it, we don't get it, but you know, there's clearly an audience out there for it. Moving on. June 16th. Now, The Flash is a very interesting property because it stars Ezra Miller, who's probably more famous for getting arrested than getting acting awards. But intriguingly, it has not one, but two Batmans in it. It's got Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck sharing the superhero duties with Ezra Miller's titular character. So this just became very, very interesting.
Oh, I think it's a very interesting angle that they're going for here. I almost think it's quite smart that they've got two other stars to distract us from Ezra Miller, to stop us from thinking too much about the Millergate activities that have been going on. I mean, keep that person away from karaoke bars. That's what I've taken away from this. But I do think it's actually quite interesting in general, the choice to keep Ezra Miller on, and whether any kind of sort of consequences to that are going to be seen. Do people really care that much? I know when everything was unfolding and there was charges and arrests, people cared then, but was that a gossip thing? Now, retroactively, are people going to look back and think, oh, it wasn't that bad, I guess I'll still go see the movie?
Yeah, I mean, he survived cancel culture, but how will he be on the red carpet at the premiere? You know, there are still sort of many questions, and maybe this is, you know, part of the reason why we have established stars like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck carrying the load here. But what I think works for this story is the storyline is so simplistic. It's a one-line pitch. Anyone can get it. The Flash looks to turn back time so he can save his mother from being killed. Yes, everyone can relate to that. It's really simple. It's not sort of complex like the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was, for example. It's, you know, high concept, and I think it'll work. Now, June 23, is this right? We've got 2 movies released on that date?
Oh, and those very different quality movies, I'll go as far to say. Obviously, we've got Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, which I'm incredibly excited for. I'm loving the cast. We've got Maya Hawke, we've got Steve Carell. Oh, come on. Oh, okay, right. I'm gonna calm myself down, and I'm gonna calmly ask, oh, why is that, Sandro?
No, please, Amy, go ahead. Tell me why these Wes Anderson movies you know, entertain people, because clearly they're over my head.
I love Wes Anderson, and I know that there is sort of a meme of it being a very specific kind of person that loves Wes Anderson, and they probably do look a little bit like me, and they're in their 20s, and they think they're really quirky and cute and everything. Yeah, okay, let me be quirky and cute. I love his, like, janky little music, and the way he frames all of his shots symmetrically, and the beautiful colour grading. We're going to have Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Margot Robbie, Tom Hanks, all of these fantastic actors, all in the Wes Anderson universe, and that is just a big selling point for me. The one thing that does make me laugh, though, and I don't know if this has occurred to anybody else, but Asteroid City itself, where it's set, looks to me almost identical to the town in which Cars, the movie, is set, and I can't unsee it. Every time I look at it, I think, where's Lightning McQueen?
Well, Owen Wilson's probably in it. Is he in it? Is this one? He's normally in the Wes Anderson films. We will see. But yeah, I see Tom Hanks joining the cast of this one, sort of Margot Robbie. Actors are queuing up to work with Wes Anderson. It's like a joke I don't get, or a party I'm not invited to. The humour of it just lands with a thud with me. You know, I guess I'm not intellectual enough to get it, but yeah, I give them a chance. I go to all of them. I rarely make it to the end because it just seems so incredibly self-indulgent to me. But we will see. Maybe, I mean, I like the plot of Asteroid City. It's about aliens landing. Now I can get behind that. So I love that, you know, our emissary to the aliens might be Tom Hanks or Margot Robbie. You know, I know recently the British public voted David Attenborough as the person they would like to be our emissary to the aliens. Here are some green-skinned creatures emerging from the spaceship, but David Attenborough has not yet been cast in a Wes Anderson movie, so you'll have to make do with Tom Hanks, clearly filling in for Bill Murray, who was otherwise engaged on this occasion.
You know what? That was a shockingly good impression.
Keep listening, listeners. I've got more. So Asteroid City would perhaps be better if David Attenborough was in it, but it's certainly one for the Wes Anderson films, of which there are plenty of quirky 20-somethings who are cute and like these movies. But what about the rest of us? Dear. Well, for the rest of us, we've got the unfortunately titled No Hard Feelings, which is Jennifer Lawrence romantic comedy. Now, the plot of this seems ripped out of 1997, not socially conscious woke 2023. If I've got this right, Jennifer Lawrence plays a financially strapped Uber driver who answers a Craigslist ad from the parents of a nerdy boy who are looking for a young woman to date/sleep with, their awkward son. When you heard this plotline, Amy, what was your first thought?
I sort of couldn't believe it. Because it's a vital part of the storyline as well, that it isn't just to date, it is to sleep with their son. Now, first of all, that's incredibly weird. You should not be that invested in getting your son laid, but that's not the main point. The main point is, usually I hate it when people pull the card of, oh, what if the roles were reversed? Because often it's done in bad faith and there's nuance. There's no nuance here. If the roles were reversed, we'd all be hooting and hollering and screaming. Because can you imagine if we put out a film that was two parents hiring a grown adult male Uber driver to seduce and sleep with their teenage daughter? No, it wouldn't happen, and rightfully so. So why the hell are we accepting it now that it's a female Uber driver and an awkward teenage son?
Yes, I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's great in everything. But if anyone can pull off this controversial material, it is her. I think she should have won 5 Oscars at this point. She deserves 5 more if she can make this plot work. So yes, that's a real challenge. It could be a career derailer for her. But who knows? Might be the comedy hit of the summer. Maybe this sort of anti-woke thing is just what people want. Maybe it's American Pie all over again. It's certainly been a generation since those movies were around. So
No,
who
don't
knows?
make us do Pie again.
That's basically what the summer box office always needs. A sex comedy. So let me see. So, from the sublime to the magnificent. Now, the release date of this keeps changing. So by the time you're listening to this, it may have shifted back to June 6th from June 30th. But at time of recording, this is the day I'm marking my calendars for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford, yes, not replacing him, not rebooting him, not finding a young actor to play it. Harrison Ford still there at 80 years old, with his whip, and with his wits, and lots of throwbacks apparently to the earlier part of the film. And I'm just so ridiculously excited. Am I justified in my excitement, Amy? And do you share it?
Oh, I think so. I think so. I'm excited as well because for me, Indiana Jones was something I watched with my brother. It's nostalgic for me. Admittedly, my knowledge when it comes to the finer points of each film, they all sort of blurred into one because I watched them all so repeatedly through my childhood. But I'll defend any of those movies, even Crystal Skull, which I found out is pretty much universally hated by everyone.
True.
Apart from me. I love that movie because it's tinted with rose-tinted glasses, isn't it? You look back to being a child and sat on the sofa eating popcorn with my brother with the DVD or the VHS, whatever it was that we had at the time. It's all tinted with that for me. And the other thing that I'm excited about, actually, is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because even though she always just plays Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I like her, and I'll watch her play it anytime.
I agree. She enhances every project. We saw her do it with her writing in No Time to Die, and in this, she is playing Indiana Jones's goddaughter. And yes, it's going to be fantastic to watch her. You have to be really strong to hold the screen with Harrison Ford. Movie history has shown that, because he's just such an incredible star. But she's brilliant in her own right, and just the best teaming ever in this franchise was Harrison Ford and Sean Connery together in the Last Crusade, and by having somebody who's also brilliant up there alongside him, I think this can only work. So it'd be disappointing if it's a letdown. And you make a good point up there about Crystal Skull, because some people loved the Star Wars prequels much more than the original films. I think a lot of it comes down to the age you are when you first discover these characters and these worlds. And nostalgia is a wonderful thing, and this is such a nostalgia character. And it's supposedly the last time Harrison Ford plays Indy, although never rule out Harrison Ford. And I hope. We've already had young Indiana Jones on television. I hope this is like the end of the franchise. I hope it's a beautiful conclusion to it, and everyone can walk away with their heads held high and leave that Indiana Jones as one of the great franchises of movie history. It's been brilliant. Didn't work out last time as much as you loved it for everyone's satisfaction. I'm hoping this is the movie that everyone is going to adore this summer. We shall see.
I agree. Hopefully they don't make it the dead horse they keep beating.
So, what could possibly follow Indiana Jones? Well, I will tell you, it is Joyride, and this is, if like me, you love the movie Girls Trip. This could be the equivalent now. It is four female friends traveling across China to track down one of their birth mothers. And they just go with a very sort of American pop culture sensibility. It's when two cultures collide. It's sort of Crazy Rich Asians, the 20-something version. And just, I just think, the trailer, if you haven't seen it yet, it's laugh out loud funny. So I think this could be the comedy hit of the summer. What are your expectations for Joyride?
I was sort of shocked because I had seen so little about this movie. When I would think, when it comes to targeted ads and all that kind of thing these days, why are they not targeting me? This is my kind of thing. Especially, girl power, four women looking for their mother, comedy across the... It's everything that I should love, and yet I've seen so little of it advertised to me and out and about in general. So I sort of shamefully know very little about it, other than it's got Stephanie Sue, who I adore, and who was robbed at the Oscars, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's perhaps something to do with a failing by the marketing department in Britain, because here in America, where I live, Joyride is getting constant rotation and lots of talk about it as well. So maybe here they're just targeting the Asian American community. And they've decided to sort of write off Britain, perhaps. But that's a huge mistake, because this is a universal comedy, I think, with themes that everybody could relate to. So let's not just put it in one box of diversity. I think that could be a big mistake. But if the movie is as good as the trailer, and all the laughs are just in that, I think we're in for a real winner with this one.
You know what? Now make a concerted effort to go and see this on time, because they've tried to rob me of the advertising for it. I will get there whether they like it or not. I'm representing Britain.
Now, in mid-July, he's back. The man who has owned the summer since our grandparents were alive. That's right, Tom Cruise, still doing the stunts at the age of 104, looking better than ever. Little Tom is back in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Yes, this is the one where he rides the motorbike off the cliff and does the parachute jump. Dead Reckoning Part 1, by the way. This is reckoned to be the two-part conclusion, I'll believe it when I see it, of the Mission Impossible franchise. And, I'm very excited. It's got Rebecca Ferguson in it. To me, She is the most underrated talent in all of movies. She's brilliant. Everything she's in is brilliant. Tom Cruise is very clever. You know, throughout his career, he's been picking lots of talented co-stars. You know, he doesn't have to be the only one who shines. He's always surrounded by great casts. At this point, Simon Pegg, Vanessa Kirby, they're a whole sort of established ensemble now in Mission Impossible. We know what we're going to get. The plot doesn't matter. It's all about the stunts. There's so much more goodwill for Tom Cruise. He's become a global treasure after Top Gun Maverick, and I think this, as a result, could be the most financially successful Mission Impossible film of all time. What do you think, Amy?
I've just never got the thing about Cruise. I've never bought into his whole gimmick. I'm not at all doubting sort of the value that he's brought to cinema and to his movies over the years, nor the talent and the dedication that obviously goes into doing your own stunts, even if you're 105 years old. But just him as a concept has never been something that drives me to the cinema, and maybe part of that is that I'm really not his target audience. I'm a 20-something woman. He's much more my brother's speed, and I'm not sure he's ever gotten me to the cinema. He probably won't with this one, but I'll be interested to see if this is in fact the first part of a two-part ending, because to me Mission Impossible seems like something that they really are just going to keep on forever and ever and ever.
Tom Cruise can do anything. He can fly a jet plane, he can race a fast car, and he can get you to the cinema on opening weekend. Let me check back with you again on July 12th and see what your plans are. You know, I just want to see if you're going to be there on first night to make an exception. It's it's funny. Cruise. I joked about the fact he's been with us so long. We have so few movie stars these days. You know, everything is brands. And he is one of, I would say, less than 3, living icons that truly represent the word star. Yes, he's a little quirky, he's a little unusual, to say the least. But he's always there, bless him. So I just can't imagine him ever as old. But we will see. He defies science, he defies aging, he defies gravity. He is the living embodiment of Mission Impossible, and whatever he does, I'll go and see it. So. Then we move on to what is currently the main date of summer, July 21, the midsummer date that everybody wants. Currently, it's occupied by 2 movies. One, which has pretensions towards maybe being a Best Picture Oscar winner. The other, which just is like a candy-coated ball of fun. One is Barbie. One is Oppenheimer. Which do you want to tackle first, Amy?
Well, I like the idea of Oppenheimer being a candy-coated ball of fun. Why can't we have a little bit of fun with Cillian Murphy?
Well, it is about the guy who invented the atomic bomb, so it's basically not necessarily candy-coated fun, but I see what you mean.
It's a little bomb between friends. If you'd asked me earlier in the year, I would have said that this was my biggest date of the summer, because for a while, Barbie and Oppenheimer were the 2 that I was the most excited about. Obviously, there's more now that I'm also sort of hyped to get on board with, but these probably are the big ones. And so Barbie, for me, incredibly excited for, because I'm a big fan of Greta Gerwig. Everything she does, I think she's incredibly talented, and what she's going to be able to do with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as our central Barbie and Ken really excites me. I found the trailer absolutely hilarious. That Ryan Gosling's delivery of we're girlfriend boyfriend kind of thing. Oh, yes. And people saying he's too old, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm obsessed with the production design, the costume, the whole look of it. Everything is so polished and perfect and Barbie, and I want to immerse myself in it.
Yes, it could really work, or it could be a huge flop. And nobody knows, and that's really the wonderful thing about it. I'm excited to sort of rev up the pink Corvette and cruise down to Barbie Land. It looks tremendous fun. It's certainly something that everybody will be talking about. Will it work? It's going to be fascinating to see. There are fewer questions around Oppenheimer. It has an incredible all-star cast. It has a great director in Christopher Nolan. Everything seems to be taking shape for this to be this sort of serious subject matter that he can finally win his Best Picture Oscar for. But nothing's ever guaranteed in Hollywood, and does a serious film, and one with such a long running time of around sort of 3 hours, can it really get bums on seats at the height of summer, or should it maybe have held its release until November in the heart of Oscar season and come on late? Do you think this is more a cash grab than an awards grab? What do you think about the release schedule for Oppenheimer?
I think that is a really interesting point, because especially when you compare it to the other films we've discussed, it does just come off as quite different tonally. Obviously, it's difficult subject matter. It's very, very harsh. It's going to contain some probably very distressing scenes. It's going to be a lot to take in, and it's going to be 3 hours of it, which for me is a struggle on the best of days. Nolan, I'll always go and see his newest offerings because it's Christopher Nolan, and you have to. You have to. But he's stretching my limits here with a 3-hour movie about all death and decimation and bombs, and I don't know, it does seem odd fitting it in with the rest of the release schedule. And I know that there was talk at one point that they were gonna move the release date, and people joking it was that they didn't want to compete with Barbie. I think the biggest joke there is that they're definitely not direct competition because they're so unbelievably different. I feel like if you're going to
speak for yourself, I can't wait to see both of them. So, but I take your point.
Me too. Yeah. I'm very excited to see both. But I feel like a lot of people, if on the day you say, "Oh, they're both coming out the same day," which one are you going to see? I feel like most people are going to land very hard on one side or the other. But that could just be me. What do you think?
I would go to Barbie, because I think it'll be the one that everyone talks about that weekend. What about you? Which would you go and see first if they land on the same weekend?
I would also go to Barbie. I thought you were going to roast me for that, but I would absolutely.
No.
I'd be running to Barbie.
Yes,
they can't keep me out the cinema.
I think it'll be great. You'll be first in line, front row. Yeah, super.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big date that everybody wants, July 21, and then we kind of get into the dog days of summer, and then the movies that come after that have the sort of less coveted release dates, as people start thinking about going back to school, going back to work, and have maybe got sort of fatigue of movie going after seeing the big ones. So we go through from July 28th to August 18 now, the last 4 weekends of summer. So in the July 28th slot is Haunted Mansion. Yes, Disney again. They did it with Eddie Murphy some years ago. It didn't work. They're doing it with Rosario Dawson now and others. Is the world crying out for a Haunted Mansion movie? And can it be what they had with Pirates of the Caribbean, a global hit franchise?
I say not a chance. I think Pirates of the Caribbean was such a product of its time, and it somehow just struck a chord with audiences. I think it could be that it did so well partially, and I do hate to bring him up because I know he's such a controversial subject, but Johnny Depp really sort of gave the life and soul to those movies. And this, I just think, would really struggle to hit the same kind of tone. And it's something that I'm not invested in at all. And we've mentioned the difference in marketing. Has it been pushed a lot over in the US? Because I've not seen anything about it here.
No, it's almost like a guilty secret that's going to slip out rather than a blockbuster that's in your face. August the 4th, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are back. Yes, the return that very few of us wanted. This one is called Mutant Mayhem, and now it's in the hands of Seth Rogen. He's getting his hands on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. What?
I think maybe he should just stick to his pottery, if I'm honest. I never would have put those two together. Just the other day when I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, I saw a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles poster up, and I thought, God, are we really doing this again? But you never know. Seth Rogen, I do think, has his moments. He's made some very good stuff, and he's made some very, very bad stuff. I do tend to think this will fall on the latter end of that scale. What about you?
if we look at the box office so far this year, and we see what a hit Super Mario Brothers was, there we go for a sort of nostalgia play, perhaps. So that's the only reason I can think they're dusting off this tired old franchise once again, for a bit of 90s nostalgia. But if it makes 500 million at the box office, then I'm sure they'll be laughing. But it won't be getting my money. That's for sure. I'd much rather go on August 11th to see something new. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman in Heart of Stone. Now, this is an action franchise. She's doing the female James Bond stuff. We know she can handle the action. And people say, "Oh, what's that? Heart of Stone? I've not heard of it." Well, it's something new. I know, comes as a shocker, but yeah. So Gal, formerly of the Israeli army, now of Hollywood stardom. She's done plenty of these action things with Netflix, as well as in sort of Wonder Woman. Are you excited to see how she once again handles a gun and throws a punch?
I feel like I'm on a negative flow at this point, but I can't stop it.
That's all right. Go for it. Yeah.
I cannot stand Gal Gadot. Oh. I don't think she can act for her life. And even if she could, I'm not sure I'd like her. I think there's something so dislikable about her. And once again, that makes me a terrible feminist. This isn't very women supporting women of me. But I love women. Just her specifically, I seem to have a problem with.
So basically, you love all women on the planet, just not Gal.
Apart from Gal Gadot.
Wow.
She's the exception.
What has she ever done to you? Goodness me.
You know what? I feel bad. I feel bad that I dislike her so strongly, because I just cannot place why it is that I dislike her so strongly. I don't think that she's particularly talented actress, and my brain has formed a vendetta against her that has now gone beyond my control.
I think she's very charismatic. I think she's got a lot of star power. I think she's unusual, and I may have changed my mind after seeing Heart of Stone, but at least I'll give her a chance. Now, talking about new projects. Let's end our summer box office review with the latest Marvel entry, which is something new. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle? What on earth is that? Well, it's Xolo Maridueña, who you might know from Cobra Kai, best show on television, by the way. And so he is stepping into the superhero role. And certainly with Guardians of the Galaxy, that was something new to people. And then they embraced that, even though they were established characters from the comics. Do you see Blue Beetle as coming in with more pluses or minuses?
I think it's going to be an uphill battle, because I think the key words here is superhero fatigue. We've had so many new superheroes and lesser-known superheroes through all of the Disney Plus series and all of the last few years of big Marvel films. I really think that they're going to struggle to motivate a huge amount of people to come and see Blue Beetle. Nobody's heard of Blue Beetle, and whilst a few years ago that maybe would have been a selling point, there's something new and fresh, these days I just don't think has the same kind of pull.
So that completes our roundup of blockbusters. But just before we go, I'd like each of us to come up with one smaller film. Sometimes, the great thing about summer, there's these breakout hits that come out of nowhere. Little Miss Sunshine, for example, that had just had no publicity going in, but then sort of charms everybody and works. It can be in any genre. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll take first, thank you. Very girl power of me. I'm actually going to choose a horror film. I have a background in horror, and I know generally people roll their eyes if you start recommending a horror film. But I'm going to do it just for the sheer audacity of it. My pick is Run, Rabbit, Run. It premiered at Sundance, I believe, in January of this year, but it's getting a real release on Netflix in June 28th, actually. And it is about a woman who slowly becomes convinced that her child, who is saying that she remembers a past life, actually does remember a past life, and that the past life is that of the mother's sister who died in childhood. It's kind of a weird idea. It's something that I've not seen before, and that makes me excited for it. The trailer looks like it has some great potential for being a little spooky, a little bit different, a little bit unpredictable.
Well, originality is definitely a good thing. A lot of these movies we've been discussing are established franchises, so it's nice when the audience can discover something new. My pick is also a horror film, but a horror comedy. It's called The Blackening. It's out on June the 16th, and it basically makes its humour from the tradition of the person of colour always being the person to die first in the horror films. So something that really needs to change, and it pokes fun at that and all the other scary movie cliches along the way. It's got a great talented cast of new faces and some familiar ones as well. The trailer's brilliant. Look out for The Blackening, and let's see if that can have an impact this summer as well. So, Amy, will you be doing anything this summer other than spending it in movie theatres and in front of your streamers?
Absolutely no way.
No, me neither. Absolutely. So there we go. Park up my chair at the local multiplex. Back row on the aisle. That's where I always sit. Where do you always sit, Amy?
Oh, I like to go for a middle seat.
Oh, really? With all those people around you? You know, no. I like to be above the fray, right at the back on the end, so I can make a quick getaway if the film is rubbish.
Smart.
Always that one. Okay, well, that has been the summer box office preview of Total Hollywood. Did you see something in there that you will long to see? You can always follow the movie business with me and Amy. Send us out with a normal bit of positivity and girl power, Amy.
This is the summer for the girls, and I'm backing every single one of them, apart from Gal Gadot.
Poor gal.